Welcome to Modern English Talk. Today is day 2 of our 30-day English Fluency Challenge.
Stay with us until the end and practice today's simple challenge.
Have you ever noticed that you understand English when you're watching YouTube videos or listening to your favorite podcasts? But the moment someone asks you a simple question in English, your mind suddenly goes completely blank? You know the words, you know the grammar, and you've studied English for months or even years. Yet you still can't answer quickly because your brain is busy translating every single word from your native language into English. If that sounds familiar, then today's episode might completely change the way you learn English forever.
That's exactly what happens to millions of English learners around the world, Emma. They believe their vocabulary is too small or their grammar isn't good enough. But in reality, the biggest problem isn't grammar at all. It's the habit of translating every sentence before speaking. That tiny habit slows your brain down, destroys your confidence, and makes every conversation feel difficult, even when you already know the correct English.
Welcome back to the 30-Day English Fluency Challenge, where every single day we're helping you become a more confident and natural English speaker with simple, practical steps you can actually use in real life. Today is day 2, and we're going to reveal one of the biggest secrets that fluent English speakers use every day without even thinking about it. Once you understand this simple technique and start practicing it consistently, you'll notice that speaking English becomes faster, smoother, and much more natural than ever before.
So if you're tired of translating every sentence in your head, tired of speaking too slowly, or tired of feeling nervous every time you open your mouth to speak English, then stay with us until the very end of today's episode. We'll share practical exercises that you can start using today, and by the end of this lesson, you'll have the first step toward thinking directly in English instead of translating. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Modern English Talk podcast. I'm your host Emma, and I'm so happy you've joined us for day 2 of our 30-day English Fluency Challenge. If you completed yesterday's lesson, congratulations. You've already taken the first step toward becoming a more confident English speaker. And if today is your first time listening, don't worry at all. You can still start this challenge with us today and make amazing progress by practicing just a little every single day.
Hi everyone, I'm Alex, and I'm excited to continue this journey with you. One of the biggest mistakes learners make is believing that fluency happens overnight. The truth is, fluency is built one small habit at a time. Every lesson in this challenge is carefully designed to improve one important speaking skill, and when you combine all 30 days together, you'll have a much stronger foundation for speaking English naturally and confidently.
Exactly. Yesterday, we focused on taking the first step towards speaking English with confidence. Today, we're going to work on something that makes an even bigger difference. Learning how to stop translating every sentence in your mind and start thinking directly in English. This single habit can make your conversation smoother, faster, and much more natural.
And here's the good news. You don't need a huge vocabulary, perfect grammar, or a native English accent to begin thinking in English. You simply need the right method and a little daily practice. That's exactly what we're going to show you in today's episode with easy explanations, real-life examples, and a practical challenge you can start using as soon as this podcast ends.
So grab your notebook if you like taking notes, or simply listen carefully and repeat the examples with us. Remember, this isn't just a podcast, it's your daily fluency training. The more actively you participate, the faster you'll improve. Let's dive into today's lesson and discover how to train your brain to think in English naturally. Before we learn how to think directly in English, let's first understand why translating every sentence in your mind can slow down your speaking. Many English learners believe that translation is a helpful step, especially in the beginning, and that is completely normal. However, if you continue translating every word for too long, it becomes a habit that can stop you from speaking naturally and confidently.
That's absolutely true, Emma. Imagine that someone asks you a simple question like, "What did you do this morning?" A fluent speaker can answer immediately by saying, "I had breakfast and then I went to work," or "I studied English for 30 minutes. But many learners do something different. First, they think of the answer in their native language. Then they translate each word into English. Then they check the grammar in their minds. And only after all of that do they finally speak. This process may only take a few seconds, but in a real conversation, those seconds feel very long.
Exactly, Alex. Speaking is like driving a car. When you first learn to drive, you think carefully about every movement, where to place your hands, when to use the brakes, and how to turn the steering wheel. But after enough practice, driving becomes natural and automatic. English works the same way. If your brain always depends on translation, speaking will always feel slow and difficult.
And here's something very important to remember. Native speakers do not translate when they speak. They connect ideas directly with words. For example, when a native speaker sees a cup of coffee, they immediately think coffee. They don't translate the word from another language first. That direct connection is exactly what English learners need to develop if they want to become more fluent.
Another problem with translating is that languages are different. Sentence structures, expressions, and word choices are not always the same. Sometimes when learners translate word by word, the sentence sounds unnatural or confusing. That's why learning common English phrases and thinking in simple English can help you sound much more natural.
So if you often feel that your mind becomes slow during conversations, don't worry. It doesn't mean your English is bad. It simply means your brain still needs practice making direct connections in English. And the good news is that this is a skill that anyone can improve with the right exercises and consistent practice.
Exactly. And in the next section, we're going to show you how fluent speakers think in English and how you can start building this powerful habit from today. Now that we understand why translating slows us down, let's talk about the exciting part, how fluent English speakers actually think. Here's a secret that surprises many learners. Fluent speakers don't always use difficult words or long, complicated sentences. Most of the time, they simply think in clear, simple English. They focus on expressing their ideas, not on creating perfect sentences. That's why their conversations sound smooth, natural, and confident.
Exactly. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine you wake up in the morning and look outside. Instead of thinking in your native language and then translating, train yourself to think directly in English. You might say in your mind, "It's a beautiful morning," "The weather looks nice," or "I need to make some coffee." These are short, easy thoughts, but they help your brain build a direct connection between your thoughts and the English language.
And here's another helpful tip. Don't try to think in advanced English. Many learners believe they need impressive vocabulary to sound fluent, but that's not true. Fluency comes from using words you already know quickly and naturally. Even simple sentences like, "I'm feeling a little tired today," "I have a busy schedule," or "I'm excited to learn something new," are excellent examples of natural English thinking.
That's a great point, Emma. Another habit of fluent speakers is that they describe what they see and what they are doing throughout the day. For example, if you're cooking, you can quietly say to yourself, "I'm cutting the vegetables," "The water is boiling," or "This smells delicious." If you're walking outside, think, "There are many people here," "The traffic is heavy," or "The sky is very clear today." These simple thoughts train your brain to use English automatically without stopping to translate.
Also, don't be afraid if your English isn't perfect. Remember, your goal is communication, not perfection. Even native speakers sometimes pause, change their words, or make small mistakes. What makes them fluent is that they keep speaking without overthinking every sentence. Confidence grows through practice, not through perfection.
So, starting today, challenge yourself to think in simple English whenever you can. Whether you're brushing your teeth, eating lunch, traveling to work, or relaxing at home, try to describe your surroundings and your actions in English. At first, it might feel a little strange, but after a few days, you'll notice that English begins to come to your mind much more naturally.
And that's exactly the habit we're going to practice together in today's Day 2 challenge. It's simple, fun, and incredibly effective, and it can make a real difference in your speaking fluency. Now it's time for the most exciting part of today's episode, your Day 2 Fluency Challenge. Don't just listen to us. We want you to practice with us because English improves when you use it, not when you only study it. Today's challenge is simple enough to do anywhere, whether you're at home, at work, in your classroom, or even walking outside.
Here's your first exercise. Stop for a moment and look around the room you're in right now. Don't think in your native language. Instead, look at one object at a time and name it directly in English. You might see a chair, a window, a phone, a laptop, a book, a bottle of water, or a clock. Say the words out loud if you can. If you can't speak because you're in a public place, simply say them in your mind. The important thing is to connect the object directly with its English name instead of translating it first.
Excellent. Now let's make the exercise a little more interesting. Instead of saying only one word, create a short English sentence about each object. For example, you can say, "This is my notebook. The window is open. My phone is on the table. I need to charge my laptop." Keep your sentences short and easy. Remember, fluency grows from simple habits repeated every day.
Ready for the next step? Think about what you're doing at this exact moment. Maybe you're sitting on a chair, drinking tea, walking outside, or listening to this podcast. Describe your action in English. You could say, "I'm listening carefully. I'm learning something new today. I'm sitting comfortably. I'm practicing my English." These small thoughts train your brain to think naturally in English without translating.
Now let's try something that fluent speakers do all the time. Imagine you're talking to a friend. Ask yourself simple questions in English and answer them in English. For example, how am I feeling today? Maybe your answer is, I'm feeling happy and motivated. Or ask yourself, what am I going to do after this podcast? You could answer, I'm going to practice English for 10 minutes. This creates a real conversation inside your mind, and it's one of the fastest ways to improve your fluency.
Remember, you don't need perfect grammar, difficult vocabulary, or long sentences to complete today's challenge. Your only goal is to think directly in English. The more often you practice, the stronger this habit becomes. And before you know it, speaking English will feel much faster, easier, and more natural.
So that's your Day 2 challenge. Practice it today, practice it tomorrow, and keep building this habit throughout the entire 30-day English Fluency Challenge. Small daily improvements lead to big results, and every minute you spend thinking in English brings you one step closer to speaking with confidence. Before we wrap up today's lesson, let's talk about a few common mistakes that can slow down your progress. The first mistake is trying to think in perfect English. Many learners stop speaking because they're worried about grammar or choosing the perfect word. But remember, fluency comes first and perfection comes later. It's much better to say a simple sentence confidently than to stay silent while searching for the perfect one.
That's so true, Emma. Another mistake is using vocabulary that's too difficult. Sometimes learners memorize advanced words because they want to sound more intelligent, but during a real conversation, they can't remember those words quickly. Instead, focus on the English words you already know. Simple language spoken naturally is always better than complicated language that makes you hesitate.
The third mistake is giving up too quickly. You might try thinking in English for 1 minute today and feel that it's difficult. That's completely normal. Your brain is learning a new habit, and every new habit takes time. Don't judge your progress after one day. Judge it after weeks of consistent practice, and you'll be surprised by how much easier English begins to feel.
And here's one final piece of advice. Don't compare yourself to other learners. Everyone starts from a different level, and everyone learns at a different speed. Your only competition is the person you were yesterday. If today you can think in English for 1 minute and next week you can do it for 3 or 5 minutes, that's real progress. Celebrate those small victories because they eventually lead to big improvements.
Exactly. So be patient, keep practicing every single day, and remember that every small step brings you closer to becoming a confident English speaker. The goal isn't to be perfect, it's to keep improving one day at a time. Congratulations on completing day 2 of our 30-day English Fluency Challenge. Every time you finish one of these lessons, you're investing in yourself and becoming a little more confident than you were yesterday. Remember, fluency isn't built in a single day. It's built through small, consistent actions that you repeat again and again. So don't worry if today's challenge felt difficult. Every fluent English speaker was once a beginner who decided not to give up.
Exactly, Emma. Think about it this way. Learning English is like going to the gym. You don't become stronger after one workout, but if you keep showing up every day, the results become impossible to ignore. The same is true for English. Just 10 or 15 minutes of focused practice each day can completely change the way you speak over the next few weeks. Stay patient, trust the process, and keep challenging yourself.
Tomorrow, we'll continue our journey with day 3, where you'll learn another practical technique that will help you speak English more naturally and confidently. Each lesson in this challenge builds on the previous one, so don't miss the next episode. By the end of these 30 days, you'll have stronger speaking habits, better confidence, and a much more natural way of communicating in English.
And remember, don't keep today's lesson only inside this podcast. As soon as this episode ends, spend 1 minute thinking only in English. Then tomorrow, try 2 minutes. Little by little, you'll notice that your brain starts choosing English automatically without translating. That's when real fluency begins. We'd also love to hear from you. Head down to the comments and write one simple English sentence without translating from your native language. It can be about your day, your hobbies, or even how you're feeling right now. We'll read as many comments as we can, and it's a great way to practice your English with learners from around the world.
Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. Keep believing in yourself, keep practicing, and remember that every small step brings you closer to speaking English with confidence and ease.
Take care, stay motivated, keep thinking in English, and we'll see you tomorrow for the day 3 of the 30-day English Fluency Challenge.
Happy learning, keep speaking, and we'll see you in the next episode of Modern English Talk. Goodbye.